Oh boy, you know those sweet, sweet sounds of the woman sobbing can only mean one thing. That you are here, my friend, in the Roach Motel. Welcome to the very first episode. Pull up a chair, get to the hotel bar, however you like going about it when you check in. The hot tub is out of order, but there are some fluids inside of it still if you want to get involved in that. Thanks for coming to the first episode. I'm Josh Potter, if you don't already know. In the booth, we've got Enny on the ones and the twos. I don't know how else to describe a producer of a show. Everyone says that, on the ones and the twos. It's like the lamest thing to possibly say, but that's the best way I went about it. So what's up, Enny? How are you?
I'm good, man, and I like it. I mean, I always wanted to be a DJ, so ones and two makes me feel like I achieved my life dream, so...
That's what you wanted to be?
I
Seems
did.
like you've done way better than being a DJ.
I mean, it's just debatable. It depends what you want, you know? I mean, imagine the parties with DJing. You know,
No,
it's just
for
different.
sure. I've always wanted to be a DJ, but I always wanted to be a disc jockey. And that's why I learned how to talk up songs. I wish we could play music on this show because I could do the talk up game. It's a lot of fun where you just you talk up the intros of songs, and a lot of hack radio guys like to get it right in there. Every fucking second to the intro, they got to talk over right until that post, baby. And it's a lot of fun, but it's also hilariously R-worded. But I've been having a wild quarantine like everyone else. I've been living it up. I'm sure you've been doing so many activities. All of my activities could be compiled into this hour, basically, of this show. So that is how little I've done during quarantine. So that's why I've just come. Basically, you're getting a recap of the things that I've observed while being shuttered into my home for the time being. I do want to thank people right off the bat, by the way, for coming to my Twitch, twitch.tv/Josh_Potter. It's gotten me through quarantine, and it's helped me prepare for this show, to be honest with you. So I hope you've been enjoying that. And if you have, that actually leads us to our first news story of the day. That's right. Top story of the day. EA Sports, Electronic Arts, the makers of such titles as Madden, NFL Football, one of my favorite games of all time, one that I've purchased every year for the past 20 years. Well, those folks at EA Sports are fucking my mom in front of me. That's the top headline. Now, maybe you don't play the game. I know a lot of people hate sports games that are gamers. I've learned that through the Twitch. So you're like, whatever, fuck you and your dumb game. But here's the thing. I love this game so much that throughout the years, I took your criticisms and I was always the defender of this game. This year, there is nothing to defend. They basically just slapped Lamar Jackson on the cover and were like, here you go. It's a glorified roster update, essentially. And it's got so many glitches, it doesn't even function properly. You would think that they would at least make it so that it functions properly. It's really just a blatant insult to me. I feel personally attacked by it. And again, it feels like they're fucking my mom directly in front of me, and they're just being like, you're going to watch this and you have to jerk off to this. Like, that's how complicit you have to be. And I'm over there giving them $60 and just taking it every fucking time, paying $60 to watch them fuck my mom. And the reason I say mom is because none of us who play Madden have girlfriends. And so there. But yeah, that was just, it seemed, I think quarantine 100% amplified how much that affected my life. The fact that Madden 21 is such an abomination of a video game. I'm still playing it all the time. But the fact that quarantine happened made it more noticeable. And I think it made me more angry, and it started making me finally realize what all these people are protesting in the streets about, like something that makes you angry. Well, now during quarantine, you're extra angry about it, but no one's out there taking pepper bombs for Madden right now. So I'm alone on this island, unfortunately. But let's move on into another topic, another story. This one involves murder. Hooray! You know what that means? Get out your Hitachis, ladies. I'm going to get every grisly detail out there. Every girl, they love listening. They're like, I don't know what it is. They're like, I can't walk at night or whatever. They're always scared of everything, which they should be. But then they go home and they turn on these podcasts and it's like, and then he murdered, her entrails were strewn about the bathroom, and they're like, oh yeah, tell me more. You know, like, what the fuck are they all, you're all listening to these fucking murder pods, and people wanted me to do a true crime podcast, but I just like, I can't traffic in that shit, and you know, I can't make panties wet all the time. You know, we got to do some other stuff once in a while, but this one, get ready, ladies. You're going to really fucking love this. Holy shit. The headline reads, man allegedly shot wife dead over argument about not having enough sex, then opened fire on neighbors. That part sucks. Yeah, that part was a little, ooh. You know, I get it. The wife's not putting out and you're angry. It's quarantine. You know, you're stuck inside. But then to go outside and take it out on the neighbors, I don't know. But if I were to put my Matlock hat on, let me get into the story. We should read the story before I start trying to get this man off from murder. After allegedly killing his wife, Jason Meich, or whatever you say it, is accused of shooting his neighbors. They were outside holding an infant at the time, which is like, ooh, I didn't even want to read that part, but it's in there, so I might as well. A Minnesota man is accused of fatally shooting his wife during an argument about not having sex before opening fire on his neighbors, putting a 12-year-old in critical condition and seriously injuring the adult sister. This gentleman told deputies that he got in an argument Sunday night with his wife, Angela, over the amount of sex they were having. And according to a criminal complaint from the Hennepin County Attorney's Office, as the argument intensified, he said he probably, this is what the way the man recapped it, he said to the officers, he probably went inside and got a gun, then pointed the gun in his wife's face, and then probably emptied it, shooting her. The woman's dead body was later recovered with numerous gunshot wounds in her neck and upper body, according to the complaint. Meanwhile, several of the neighbors, I don't know why they put this in the article. Meanwhile, several of the neighbors, who are black, were outside helping move items into a U-Haul truck. Like, I don't know why they put that in there. Maybe to make it extra, like, they're black, by the way, so this is, like, real bad. He's a racist also. Anywho. So yeah, he shot those people. I think they're all right. The one woman, the girl's in critical condition, according to this article. I didn't get an update. I hope she's okay. But nevertheless, I don't think we're trying the right person for murder here. You agree? I mean, do you guys know who Matlock is? Am I an old head for saying Matlock?
I've never heard of that name, but I've never heard of most names.
Well, you're an anomaly, and let me explain for folk out there. I'm going to over-explain a lot of pop culture references because Enny doesn't know any of them. Whether current or past, it doesn't matter. And I'm not saying that as a disparaging thing, by the way. That is actually a compliment. Somehow, Enny has still got depth, personality. He's still cool, and he doesn't know anything about pop culture. Meanwhile, I've had to bury myself in pop culture to develop a personality over the years. But you don't know who Matlock is. Nadav, do you know who Matlock is?
Yeah. It's the like the detective murder show that old ladies would watch, right?
Well, yes, old ladies would watch it. In fact, it was an Andy Griffith sort of revival for his career. Andy Griffith, of course, of the Andy Griffith Show, you know, the whole thing. He, when he was an old man in the 90s, had a show called Matlock, where he played a defense attorney who was always on trying to help the innocent people. You know, like they would be people wrongly accused of a crime, and Matlock would come in and he would fix it for him. And he'd use his folksy Southern language and win over a... Can we pull up an image of Matlock? He'd always dress the same. He looks like Colonel Sanders. And it's a fucking Andy Griffith, and he's one of these... Well, Your Honor, I do declare that the murder... You know, he's the fucking stereotype of that shit. So do you recognize this man when you pull him up here, Enny? Do you recognize... Matlock is spelled M-A-T-L-O-C-K. Just, it's not Matlock, 2 words. Matt is not his first name. No, his last name is Matlock. M-A-T-L-O-C-K. His
you
name
gotta
is...
help me out.
I know, I'm sorry, Don. That was on me. That one's on me. I'm not going to sit here and Google shame you like some others. But there he is right there. You see him in his white suit, and he'd be like, I'm just here to help the innocent people. So if Matlock were taking on this Minnesota case here, I would argue that we are trying the wrong man for murder. Sure, this is the man who fired the weapon, and murdered the wife, you can get him on the wife, but the family outside, that's not on him. You must charge the wife for those murders. She's not putting out. She would have done a little, you know what I'm saying? Like that 12-year-old not in critical condition. That's my theory on it. That's all I'm saying. But if you want more murder, we have it. Oh boy, this one is with a sexy couple too. Like this is one where I like maybe should have had you prep the picture because like I just am noticing now we got a sexy. And this murder is conducted by two white people. And this is what I notice when white people murder, they always go to dismembering. You notice that? I don't know, do black people dismember when they murder? I'm asking you, Enny, you're black. I've just figured.
You said, do we dismember?
Yeah, do you dismember folk when you are, it's this pic here, folk. I can show you on the, can you see it on the screen? They're all right looking, right? We got this guy's a bit of a chub, but we got this chick over here. She's looking all right. I think I'd put it in her, you know? She seems kind of cool.
Yeah, they look like dismembers. No, I don't think we do that.
No, you just, what do you do when you murder?
I mean, it's quick and clean, man. I feel like we
it's
don't
more
really...
passionate, I feel, too. Like you do it and you don't even know that you were going to do it. Right?
You think that's us or that's people that dismember? Because
black people.
I feel like it's way more a passionate crime to dismember someone.
Well, let me disagree with you for a moment. And when I say black people, I'm talking about black people who murder people and white people who murder people. When we say white people, we're talking about white murderers too. And when we talk about black people, we're talking about black murderers, not the people as a whole. Just getting that part out there. So what I'm saying, though, is that people who are black that murder do it out of they don't go into the day going like, I'm going to murder this guy. And then but something comes up and then they do. And so that doesn't require dismembering. Dismembering, I feel, is like we have to on Tuesday murder Ralph and then we got to clean it up. So we got to cut him up and then put this part in the woods and put this part in the lake. Right? That's more plotted out. It's less passionate. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. To me, that's the definition of passionate.
I guess you're right.
Creating a whole thing for them.
I did put your brain in a pretzel with the word passion. And what I'm using it is in a legal sense. A crime of passion would be one where you don't premeditate it. So that's why. But yes, passion, having a passion for murder would lean toward your argument. 100%. You are correct. But let's listen to where these folks went wrong. And that might be a common thread down the road as we do a show. Where did they go wrong? Two people arrested after dismembering a body, or after a dismembered body, found on a California golf course. Two people in California were busted in connection with the murder of a person who dismembered the body, or whose dismembered body, was found on the golf course. Kimberly and Donald were arrested Tuesday after a dive team discovered the remains at the Black Lake Golf Course in Nipomo. Where's Nipomo? Is that around here? Or is that like Northern California? I don't know anything about it.
You said Nipomo?
Nipomo. Nipomo. I don't know where that is. One of these weird ass. It's one of these meth towns in California. I'm learning there's a lot of these. But there's a country club there, so who knows? The identity of the victim was not released, though authorities said the person had been missing for 2 years and was familiar with the suspects. It appears that the victim was murdered in the city of Santa Maria and dismembered before being disposed of at the golf course in December of 2018. While it took forever for them to find this body, can we get the Black Lake Golf Course? Let's give them a nice plug. Just take a look at it. The Black Lake Golf Course in Nipomo. See, maybe get a graphic. I haven't heard of it on the tour, so I don't know if it's like an upper end one. I'm trying to see if this is like, because typically on your upper end golf course, this is where I thought they went wrong, but I guess I just didn't read thoroughly in this article enough. It took 2 years to find the body, so I guess they did a pretty good job. Because here I am thinking, if you're going to dismember a body and you're going to throw them in a hazard of a golf course, that shit's going to get found lickety-split. I mean, those grounds crews are fucking diligent, dude. They're out there, like, measuring the blades of grass. They're out there, like, making sure the sand is perfect, the water. They're going into those waters, like, getting balls out all the time. I know guys who play golf who, if they lose a ball, they're like, fuck that. And they're swimming in that shit to get the fucking ball out. They're like, fuck it. So I don't know how they didn't find this fucking dismembered body. Also, and this doesn't indicate this in the article or not, when you dismember somebody, one would think, or just maybe this is just me jumping to conclusions, one would think you would disperse the parts in different areas, not just throw them all into one water hazard on the 17th. You know? Like, what's the point of cutting it up then? You know what I mean? At least, like, scatter it through the back 9. You know? That's what I'm just saying. Like, I think they should have, it might have taken 4 years to find this guy if they would have fucking scattered the parts a little bit better, eh? What do you think? I don't know. Yeah, so dismembering, total white person murderer situation, I think, than a black one. Back to that debate. Disagree or agree? No? Okay. Holy hell, this story is thick. And I don't know why it's so thick. I think it's because I accidentally printed a bunch of pictures. It's actually the thinnest story that we have here. It doesn't involve murder, or does it? It involves a celebrity murder, more or less, that happened years ago. Michael Jackson died. I don't know sorry if I'm breaking news to you. Yes, Michael Jackson has passed away. And at the time when it happened, I remember I was on the radio, and that's my experience by it. This is the first time I want to throw this out there, a little tangent. This is the first time I've ever had a show in my life. Usually I've worked on other people's shows, and I would walk in and I'd come in and I'd just throw them a parody song or some bullshit and be like, here's my work for the day. You know what I mean? Now I got to come up with everything. You know, it's kind of crazy. I'd be like, yo, you need a parody for WAP? I got it. And then I just make one, about Italians. Yeah. There's Guidos in this house. It's easy. See, then I would just go home. I would take pills. You know what I mean? Like, people are like, how'd you do morning radio on pills? I was like, see? Like that. Anywho, back when I was on the radio, 2009 is when Michael Jackson passed away. It was like, Twitter had just started, by the way. It was brand new. And it was like such a thing, like that TMZ tweeted out Michael Jackson was in critical condition in the hospital. People thought, like, is this fake? Is it real? It was such a roller coaster. And it was such like a marquee benchmark in my broadcasting career. It's weird and morbid to talk about a person's death being that. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, it'll always hold like a special day in my heart for like breaking that news or whatever. But people are still talking about Michael Jackson's death. In fact, some of his family members are trying to cash in even still on Michael Jackson through his death. And the way that they're doing that, a blood-stained IV drip from Michael Jackson's deathbed, which may or may not have administered that final dose of drug propofol or whatever the fuck they call it. Well, that is up for auction if you want to buy it. A Las Vegas memorabilia expert hopes to get at least $2,500 for the fluid bag at least. And that needle is going to go for a lot more. And it's interesting. How did they get this, do you ask? Well, where did they get it from? How did they come across the needle? Don't you think that would get put into some sort of biohazard waste sort of thing? Well, somehow Michael Jackson's cousin Marsha came across the needle, and she's the one selling it. Could you imagine? Like, where do you think she got? It doesn't say in this article where she got the needle. Where do you think? How does that even happen? You have to really be. What I'm saying is Marsha is a genius, and she's maybe the smartest Jackson and the biggest genius of the Jackson clan. I didn't see Tito at the hospital going like, "Hey, you got that needle for after this? Can I score the needle? You got that needle laying around?" You know what I mean? Like, Marsha knew all about it. She was playing 4D chess. She was like, in 11 years, I'm going to sell this shit for $2,500. But I don't know if anyone's buying this shit or what. There she is. There's Marsha holding up the needle. Or not, I don't know what she's holding up. Is that the bag? Yeah, it is the bag, isn't it? What does it look like to you? I have the picture directly in front of me and I can't tell what it is. Can you tell? Is it the bag?
Yeah, it looks like it from here.
All right.
That's just straight up.
What else does she got on? What else do you see in that picture there?
She's got her mask off so everyone knows that it's her.
She's got her mask off, yeah. What do you think of her drip? I mean, you're Michael Jackson's cousin.
Yeah, I mean, if you're scoring money off IV bet, I mean, you could have got something a little more swag than that. But
Or is it an indication of how little swag she has going on and she needs to sell this fucking needle so she can get up on that Jackson level?
I mean, how could you be family of Michael Jackson and not be set for any swag you want in the world? I mean, come on.
Right? I don't know how. I mean, he must have hated some of them, or like maybe she's like not even a real cousin. She could be one of these people that's like, oh, I'm a cousin, like just coming out of the woodwork. I've never had money, so I don't know how that works. So I don't. But I did just find, because this particular article I got from TMZ, and it's so fucking all over the place. Here is actually, she does tell a story about how she achieved the needle. She says, shortly after Michael died, I went into the house on Sunset. He had a house on Sunset? Man, that must have been a part that I don't go to. So she went into the house shortly after Michael died. I don't know who gave her access, because it wasn't not a crime scene. I guess maybe not, because they didn't know how he died at the time. It was just kind of like an accident. I was able to go in and go to the bedroom. When I went into the bedroom, there was a bed there with some juice. It looked like a sandwich, and I noticed this. This, I assume the needle, was over by the stand, and what I did was took it and put it in my purse. Good first instinct. Don't be like, hey, doc, what's that? Be like, I'm putting this in my purse. She doesn't say what happened to the sandwich. I bet she ate it, but knowing the way that she went about the needle, she probably ate that fucking sandwich too that she saw. She's just walking in the bedroom going like, sandwich, needle, boom, put that in my purse, gonna eat that fucking sandwich. Hell yeah. So she put it in her purse. This actually belonged to Michael Jackson, and it had some white like milk fluid inside of it, which later dissolved. But this is actually Michael's DNA on it. That's what made me grab it, the blood. Oh. This was one of the IVs, the last actually he had in his arm. This is all according to Marsha, wonderful person, clearly thinking about her cousin in his final moments. This got Michael's DNA on it? Oh shit! Put it in her purse. Nice lady. I hope she gets her $2,500. But speaking of fucking chomos, I mean, holy hell. I mean, sure, Michael Jackson's a chomo, right? I mean, do we need to put allegedly on that guy? What do you think? Does that one get in? Does Michael Jackson still get in allegedly?
That's going to be a no comment from me, Chief.
All right. Well, this guy here, and I'll tell you what, this is the problem with our country today. I did this myself. I came across a headline, if you will. I was reading the news as I do, a big news rat, as you know. Of course, we're here doing it at the moment. Tried to make the sound happen again, but I'm stupid. Yeah, so we're doing the news here, and I read it. Nothing big. And I came across a headline that says, Cheer star arrested for child porn. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Which Cheer star got arrested for child porn? And then I found out, oh no, it's a show, Cheer, with cheerleaders, and it's this guy, Jerry Harris. He was arrested with child porn. But it made me, I almost went on a whole Pizzagate thing about Cheers. I gotta tell you. When I saw this headline, it was like literally 2 seconds in my brain. I go, it all makes sense. Cheers is definitely a pedophile bar. I saw Cheers star arrested for child porn. I go, oh, John Ratzenberger. Like I thought right away. You know who John Ratzenberger is, Enny?
I do not, man.
John Ratzenberger is a gentleman. Do you know what Cheers is?
That's a show, right?
Cheers was a show in the 80s and 90s that was about a Boston bar where a bunch of ne'er-do-wells and degenerates would gather after their shitty days, and then they would all commiserate at the bar and enjoy each other's company. And eventually Frasier, another TV show, spun off of it. So Frasier was hanging out at the bar, so it was a fucking pedo bar. And then you had Norm, who was played by whatever the fuck his name is, the fat guy. And then you got John Ratzenberg, or is it John Ratzenberger? I do not know. Please Google Cliff Clavin for the folks at home. This is his character on Cheers. And when you see him, you go, fucking pedophile. Hands down. Look at this fuck. Am I wrong? Are you guys in the booth looking at this fucking guy? I mean, and he's a mailman. I don't know what policy is with the USPS, but I don't think you're allowed to be sitting at the bar drinking beers in uniform. But, I just pictured, Cliff Clavin. He would always come in with that. The other thing about his character, he'd always have his facts. He'd be like, hey there, Normie. I just found out the other day that you could fit 900 dimes in a you know what I mean? Like, he'd just have these random fucking things. So I just pictured him coming in and having like pedophile, fucking facts. He'd be like, hey, they say the age of consent is 11 in Nigeria. That's all he does the whole time. And then Norm is they let Rhea Perlman on the show because she looks like a child. Anyhow, so that was what I was very confused. What's with this other thing that pedophiles are talking about, this other show, Cuties? Have you guys watched it or seen it? I mean, all I've seen are billboards around Hollywood, and then on Twitter, everyone enraged about it. I mean, we don't need to see these pictures. I mean, Jesus Christ. This never has come across my radar. It's making me start to wonder, even the people that are complaining about it so much, we should probably look into them too. Like, how are people finding this? This hasn't come up on my algorithm for Netflix, this Cutie, so I don't fucking know how people are coming across it in the first place. But maybe relax a little bit and, maybe just stay away from it. You know what else pedophiles can jack off to is people's Instagrams where you're putting your fucking kids in bathing suits. Like, chill out on that maybe instead of worrying about what Netflix is putting out. But, such is. But, what do you say we get into the wide world of sports? Shall we? Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, it still goes. Sports, it's been weird with quarantine, and no one here watches sports, for the record. So I feel like I'm talking into I'm talking into like space or like down a sewer, because no one here watches sports except me. And when I was very depressed with quarantine, not being able to do comedy, and then also not being able to watch sports, I was very upset. And everyone's like, who gives a fuck about sports? Stop being a dork or whatever. You know what I mean? So I love sports. I'm not going to bore you with scores, with strategies, with things like that. But I still enjoy talking about it. And I think the world of sports is quite interesting. I mean, and especially here in 2020, it's been fucking weird. And NASCAR was the first sport to come back. And it didn't really seem like anything was different for NASCAR because they're in cars and they're socially distant, and like the fucking pit crew. I mean, NASCAR was designed for coronavirus. I mean, the pit crews are wearing fire suits with masks. Every driver's covered head to toe and they're in their own separate car. You know what I mean? So they were still able to function doing NASCAR. And then baseball was the first like sport, major four sports to dip its toe in. And it was weird at first, not having crowds. There was all the fun with the cutouts. I wanted us to put some cutouts out there. I thought we'd have like RPC cranking it out there and stuff like that. But I think the Angels or the Dodgers probably would have turned those down if we would have submitted our own cutouts, of the cool guys. Get the sissy of Fremont Street behind home plate. Be fucking dope, but not worth the $86, I guess, for Tom when I told him about it. I was like, what do you think? He's like, they probably won't let that happen. I was like, yeah, okay. But yeah, so baseball, when it came out of the gate, it was so weird not having crowds, and it was so weird for the players. You could tell everybody was a little off, and you can also tell that the broadcast teams were all a little off because they had to socially distance as well. They weren't even allowed to be in some cases at the ballpark in which the game was being conducted. They wouldn't travel with the team. They'd be isolated in their booth either at their stadium or they'd make a booth at home or whatever. But it was just so bizarre for them. And being a broadcaster myself, no big, and having gone to like school for that sort of thing, these are the types of stuff that they don't teach you. And you want to remain musical in terms of your call. You want to be sort of like when you have that job, you want to be not background noise, but you want to be like the air. You know what I mean? You want to be unnoticeable but pleasant. You know what I'm saying? Have a little music to you, maybe, at the very most. At the very least, you don't want to raise any eyebrows or be jarring, you know? And in baseball, it's especially beautiful because there's not a lot going on. There's a lot of dead time. The games could go so long. So that's a lot of filling of just conversation, and that's why stats get bandied about when it comes to baseball a lot. It's not like hockey where something's constantly going, where they're just like, and there he is along the blue line, passes up down the stretch. You know what I mean? He's constantly fucking talking. In baseball, they have like 0-2 the count. So I went to get spaghetti yesterday. You know what I mean? Like they have to fill time. And I mean, that is a talent beyond one that I can describe to you. Here in quarantine, it is extra noticeable those who are maybe a little less great at their craft. They've been fucking up left and right. There's just been some awkwardness. And one that I can point to, because there wasn't, and I don't know that this has been happening in later portions of the baseball season. I don't know if like the broadcasts have remedied this because I've been seeing a lot less of them. But when baseball first came back and there was no crowds, the coolest shit was hearing the players curse when they'd fuck up. That was my favorite. We've got a couple. Can we play those? Do we decide? Let's see these. They're so much fun. Okay, wait. Is that the whole thing? Okay, so rewind. Can you play one more time? That wasn't Jock Peterson, was it? Okay, if this is the one that I think it is, if this were to continue another second, he says an even louder fuck. Like as he's
flip to Garcia.
Right there, yeah, there it is.
Jock Peterson, you can hear.
And what we can't play because of rules and stuff is now if I'm broadcasting, if I'm calling that game and that just happened, first of all, it's going to take everything in my body not to laugh my fucking ass off. What he did was he hit a pop fly, and he did what I would have done if I hit a pop fly. I would have gone, he said, motherfuckers, and then he just goes, fuck! Like, so pissed off. And I love Jock Peterson for that so much. It made me love that guy. But so if I'm broadcasting this game and that happens, that's an incidental moment that typically you don't address unless complaints start rolling in some capacity. And I guess today's world, it's a little different because Twitter is the complaint line. Like people are like, oh my God, they're talking about this on Twitter. This clip's going viral on Twitter. So maybe that prompts a broadcaster to acknowledge it. But when that happens, don't acknowledge it. You don't have to acknowledge it. This guy, he's like, got a little bit of a little bit of a curse word there. Like they try to like do some cheeky dad way out of it, and they don't have to fucking, it makes it worse. It draws attention to it, first of all. And then it makes you sound like a fucking chud because you can't fucking, like you never heard fuck before, dude. You know what I'm saying? Let's see another one. We've got some more.
Has room for the second out. Sorry.
Sorry. Why do you say sorry? No, like we haven't heard fuck before. Be like, wasn't that cool? Like say something like that. I don't know. They have to obviously discourage it. But that again, another Dodger. The Dodgers really came out of the gate cursing. That one there, of course, Dustin May. I can't see who it is, but I'm fucking blind. Oh no, I don't know. Next one. Wait, sorry. Play that one more time. Right, it's just so natural. Fuck, you know they do this every time too. It makes you want to go back and watch like old highlights of like, I don't fucking know, you know, Babe Ruth or some shit, you know, and then you know like when he fucks up, he was saying fuck too, you know, but we never got to hear any of that. Like fucking Cal Ripken Jr. probably was like, my mother's cunt every time he fucking hit a foul ball. I would say horrible shit that would get picked up by that microphone. And they would have to give me a talking to. I wonder if any of these players, because they're not comedians, you know, they're just saying fuck. I wonder if any of them like have gotten reprimanded. Not like professionally or anything. I'm saying like their mothers call them or something like, I heard you swear. You know what I mean? Or like maybe their kids, they had to explain to their children or something like that. But for me, I would be saying way worse shit. I'd be like, fuck my cunt or something like really bad. And I haven't heard any of those, All I've heard are fucks so far. But if you've heard any out there and you want to send them in, you can send them in to Roach Motel at ymhpodcasts.com. I don't know if we'll ever be able to play them again, but I do like to watch them personally. So those are always fun. And that was a great time. What would you say let's imagine you guys in the booth. You're doing your job like you're doing at the moment. You're in your high pressure situation and there's a camera on you all the time, which there is technically, but I'm saying like there's a camera in the corner that's a live feed on you that like the world is watching and you fuck up and you exclaim something. What do you think the worst thing that someone would hear would be?
I don't know about exactly what. All I know is that it would be a combination of all the worst words I could come up with.
Right. You're like,
at the same time.
Cunt, fuck, bitch.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you're just saying all of them. And the fact that they don't have a verbose variety of cursing, that makes me nervous for them. I'm concerned about that, I hope that they can figure out how to curse more elaborately and, with more color. But we'll see how that goes. I would like you, if you do see that, I think they've fixed it. I think they've started pumping in artificial sound the way that the NFL is. And the way that the other sports have. The other sports in the bubble, this is kind of a meandering from our discussion thread here on our list here, but I wanted to ask you especially, because I think we have different taste in women, Enny. Have you seen these No Jumper Girls?
No Jumper Girls?
Yes, what that is that's a podcast, and these two ladies, one of them named AJ, went on to it, and she discussed blowing 8 Phoenix Suns players in one party.
Oh, I remember her. Yeah. I remember that one.
And I don't know if you can remember her Instagram. It's like AJJJYAE or some shit like that. But like, I want to get your take on this lady, because she also, not only she told that viral story, but then, and I don't know, you could cut this out if I'm telling tales out of school, telling my correspondence that I've had back and forth with this woman. But we wanted to get her on Your Mom's House after hearing about her blowing 8 Suns players, because that's just a story everyone needs to hear, right? So, I got in touch. I got her booking email, got in touch with her. Then the subject of money came up. And so then, we made a little bit of an offer. She ghosted me from that. Okay, fine. She doesn't want to do it. So what does she do? She comes out with her own podcast, like almost immediately, and tells a story about how she shit on Odell Beckham Jr. Now, Odell Beckham Jr., Enny, is the Cleveland Browns wide receiver. No coincidence there. People made all the jokes, trust me. And he's, not only is he an NFL superstar and one of the biggest stars in the league, also, he famously treated Lena Dunham like not even a person, which I think is hilarious. Lena Dunham told a story. She was at like the Met Gala or some shit, and Odell Beckham was like at her table, and Lena Dunham's like, "Oh, what Odell Beckham, an attractive African American gentleman," and she said that Odell Beckham like looked at her in a way that like they weren't even the same species, let alone that he like the way he looks at a female. So I don't think Odell Beckham's into shit. I think that woman is a fucking liar, and she's trying to get smoke for her podcast, which, by the way, is already over. After one episode, she has decided to end it, and I don't know the exact details because this woman is insane, and there's like 9 conflicting stories about this person going all over the place, this AJ lady. Apparently, the people who do that No Jumper podcast, it's Lena the Plug and her boyfriend or what have you, they paid her $500 to film a sex scene, and she wasn't comfortable with it, and she regrets it, and it was all for this podcast, and now she's not into it anymore, and so she's bailing. So she just decided to essentially drop a deuce on Odell Beckham Jr. and then just exit. But I don't think Odell Beckham Jr. would even be into this lady. What do you think of this woman? Is this woman attractive to you, Eddie?
Nah, I mean, and honestly, based on the way she was saying it, and based on what I heard from her OnlyFans, which apparently got like 20,000 followers the next day.
Yes, I did subscribe. I can tell you. Research.
Apparently she did that a lot with a bunch of different names, but they were all faceless, which means she was just getting off on that.
Well, here's what she would do exactly.
The prince of whatever. It's like, what?
That's exactly. Here's what she would do, because I did watch her OnlyFans once we were trying to get research, and she would be like, "Watch me suck this rapper's dick," and it would just be a black dick. So I'm supposed to assume this is a, Talib Kweli's dick or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, she'd be like, "This is an NBA player's dick." It's like, well, who's it? First of all, no NBA player is like splitting that OnlyFans money to get his dick out. You know what I'm saying? Like. And listen, I'm not hating on being a hoe. Ladies, go out there, get that NBA jizz. Get it. Bottle it up. Fucking put it inside you and make a baby and have the best lottery ticket of your life. I'm all about it. I'm just saying, like, this chick doesn't seem like she's for real. And I don't think any of these dudes would be into her. And again, I'm not trying to, like, I'm a gross looking person. I'm not trying to, like, disparage her looks in any way. I'm just saying, like, I don't think that they would be into this chick whatsoever. Now, Tyler, can you type in Tyler Harrow girlfriend? He's the player on the Miami Heat who just went off the other night. Tyler, and then it's Hero. Sorry, it's pronounced Hero, but it's Herro girlfriend. Yes, I forget what her name is, but she's like the most famous model on Instagram. Now,
it says Katya Elise.
Yes. Now, if this chick was like Odell Beckham likes to get shit on, I'd be like, this lady knows what she's talking about. You know what I'm saying? Just a different caliber of woman, in my opinion.
Yeah, but, man, that's the type of chick that doesn't need OnlyFans. You know what I mean?
That's exactly true. But here's the thing that puts this woman in the same category as that other lady, for me, is they both look like cartoons. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even jerk off to women that look like this because they're like so hot that like I can't even fathom a woman with that big of an ass and big of tits like wanting. Like, I'm into like heroin girls. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I like girls that are like, if a breeze comes by, they're going to fall over. You know what I mean? Like, they're always cold. You know those girls? These ones, I don't think they'd ever fuck me. So I just don't even fantasize about them. But, like, good for this dude. This fucking kid, 20 years old, just, like, broke some crazy record in the NBA for a playoff game, racking up 37 points, and the Heat out of the 5 seed looking like they're going to go to the NBA Finals. That's fucking banana land, and it's all because of this fucking kid here. I'm so jealous of this fucking kid. 20 years old, he's got the world by the balls. He's fucking that chick. I mean, good God. Imagine you drop 37 points on the fucking, I don't even know who they're playing, the Celtics, and then you fucking go home to that. I don't ever want to hear him complain about shit. That's all I'm saying. But sorry I went on that little tangent. We were talking about baseball broadcasters, and there was one thing that happened during quarantine that is just so I mean, it's not wonderful. It hurt some people, I guess, or whatever. It made some people offended, upset. But it made me laugh so much. And it's going back to the baseball announcer thing and just, again, them having to fill in an inane amount of time with such bullshit. Cincinnati Reds broadcast team was made up of Tom Brenneman, son of legendary broadcaster Marty Brenneman, and Jeff Brantley, who is one of my favorite fucking guys out there. He's an ex-player, of course. And back in the day, I used to listen to Reds broadcasts because they used to do this weird segment around the 7th inning every time called Ask Marty Time. And it would be Marty Brenneman when he was on the broadcast with Jeff. And this particular one always stuck out with me. It's my favorite radio call of all time. And I want to play it for you before we get into what Tom did, because Marty Brenneman, consummate professional, and I'll tell a little story about him even after the fact. Actually, I'll tell it before the fact because I have to fucking click this thing here. Marty Brenneman, such a professional. This is such like an old. This story is not funny at all, but it's like I love it because it's like an old broadcasting tale. When Jeff Brantley first started becoming the color commentary guy for the Reds, and it's like the 80s or whatever, he thought like he could just sit down and just be like, oh, there's a pitch. He didn't know what he was doing, like in terms of they just thought, ex-player, good personality, let's just put him in the booth. And so he just thought he just goes there and he talks about baseball. So Marty Brenneman knows that this guy did no research. He doesn't know how to call a game in any capacity. So he just, for like 2 innings, gets up and goes to the bathroom and makes Jeff Brantley just sit there and call the game. And like, a play would happen and Marty would be he was standing behind him going like, where'd it go? Like he's yelling at him like about where the ball went and stuff. Like the guy's not describing anything. They're on the radio and he's like a single for, you know what I mean? Like he's not describing anything that's happening in the game and Marty Brenneman's just yelling behind him. So consummate professional. And he was on the radio for years and traveling with the team. I mean, this is a hard life. They travel with the team. They're fucking usually ancient men. And so they're just traveling all over the road. And, anyways, they would do this segment, Ask Marty Time, every single game. And this was my favorite version of it. Here it is.
All right, folks, it is Ask Marty Time.
Oops, sorry. I hit.
Hall of Famer to give his thoughts on any and every subject, baseball or non-baseball, always presented by CBTS. Tonight's question comes from the Twitter handle LaymanJohn7.
Layman John 7, bring it,
Layman John wants to know, Marty.
Yeah, Layman John 7.
What is your biggest fear in life?
You know what? That's a serious question. That's one that I would not make light of, because I think when you reach a certain age in life, maybe there are things that concern you a bit more than maybe they did when you were younger. One of the big fears I have is dying in a hotel room by myself.
0-2 the count. Castellanos coming to the plate. I remember listening to that go like, what the fuck? It's Ask Marty Time. Sometimes I just wonder about the existentialism of, I mean, Jesus Christ, you're on a fucking broadcast, brah. But man, that got real dark, real serious. Just one of my favorite live moments. And that's the thing with a live mic, dude. Like, and Enny, you know this from producing shows. You're on the other end of a live mic oftentimes. Things can go haywire. We talked about the ancillary sound, but I mean, broadcasters themselves can make gaffes when they're on a live mic, perhaps when they know and perhaps when they don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I even the craziest one that I've experienced was Ronnie 2K. Did you hear about when that happened?
Ronnie 2K?
Yeah, Ronnie 2K. He's the 2K guy for NBA.
Oh, yes.
He's
I do like
the
this
main
story.
guy.
Please tell.
So I was working the show, and I mean, everything that I'm going to say is public, so it's not a big deal. But
damn it.
Basically, the NBA, once Corona hit, they shut down all the games, so they knew that people wanted to see something. So they figured, well, let's just get a bunch of NBA players to play NBA 2K with each other, and we'll just like live stream it and show them, just talking to each other, talking shit. And so they did that, and they had like Kevin Durant, they had DeMarcus Cousins, just a couple players. Those names I only know because
from
they
this,
said them 18 times in my ear a day. Otherwise, I wouldn't know those names.
Dude, people would murder their mothers just to like be and like work with these people, and you're like, I don't fucking know who DeMarcus Cousins is.
He came on camera. I'm like, "What's up, homie?"
That shit's so funny.
Like, what? Yeah. So Ronnie 2K was kind of the head of everything, and because like gaming and live streaming is just not an NBA thing in general, a lot of stuff got misplaced, and one of the things was the capture card, which is what you use to capture the video game with the video. And so Ronnie 2K was on a phone call with one of the executives, and he accidentally, because he live streams like on Twitch,
right,
playing those games sometimes, and he accidentally hit the like go live button because he was trying to test one of the capture cards.
Yeah.
And so live on stream, he said, yeah, like DeMarcus Cousins, he didn't get a capture card either. I don't know what's going on. And I mean, what are we going to do? Because I mean, we can't even tell that guy. That guy's a real fucking asshole, live on stream. And it was immediately broadcasted everywhere.
You know what's so funny is these things happen so often now that one like seems light, because like you think of the things he could have said. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're like, well, thank God he didn't say something else. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Thank God he just called him a fucking asshole and not like, something wild that would have, you know what I'm saying? Like, wouldn't that been, that would have been like insane. And it goes to show, like, when you have a live mic on, it's a harrowing time. Like, I've been on the board end of things where it's like you're doing remotes, and I've done it like as little in such dog shit scenarios as like we're doing a car dealership remote, so I'm board opping it, and the jock is out at the thing, and I'll be like, you're up in 3, 2, and then you put them up, and maybe they mishear you or something, but they're up a second before they start talking. So they're talking off mic to somebody, and then they come on. So things like that would happen. And I remember like I had a guy up maybe like a millisecond before he was supposed to go up, and he didn't even say anything. He just did his break, so I didn't even think there was a problem. But he knew, this guy was such a pro, he knew his mic was up, and he goes, you ever put me up like that again and don't tell me, I'm going to fucking get you fired so fast. Like, he was so angry with me. And I get it, dude. I get it. But I don't know what that guy was worried about. It's obviously, he's not throwing out like fucking, N-words and shit. So I don't know what he was worried about. But, one gentleman came across a live mic instance, and we've been discussing him quite a bit. That would be Tom Brenneman. And I'm sure you heard it. But in case you didn't hear, was his little gaffe when the mic was hot and he didn't know.
Fag capitals of the world.
There you go. That was the part we were supposed to catch. And then he went into the Ray City Capital, whatever the fuck sponsorship.
Reds Live, the pregame show presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing.
Yeah, that's what he said next. He goes, fucking fag capital of the world. Well, that's brought to you live by Ray City Capital. What city do you think he was talking about, first of all? That's what I'm curious about. Do you guys have any? I mean, we can all jump to San Francisco, but I mean, that's the obvious answer. What do you think he was talking about?
I'm going to have to lend this one to my man over here.
I mean, San Francisco sounds right. I mean, I think that's the capital. That's what people call the capital these days, right?
Of that? The FAG capital? They call it that? Is that a thing they call it?
I've heard people call it that.
I've heard some. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm wondering if he's talking, or if he's like, I wonder if he's like shitting on like a place they just were, or if they were like, he's thankful he doesn't have to travel to X city. He's like, that's a real fag capital. You know what I'm saying? And then he goes on to the fucking mic. But yeah, I mean,
inside baseball.
Yeah, exactly. It's just something that broadcasters know about this being a fag city. But I don't know what he was referring to. He never gets into that when he discusses his apology. Of course, this was caught on a live open mic, and people are upset. And I understand why people are upset. There are gay people involved in the baseball world, and they probably growing up had to hear that word, and it hurt them. And they, it's just not a place you want to hear those types of things. And it's not like he's, a comedian or anything like that. This is baseball. He is supposed to be oxygen in the air, like I said, that is supposed to just be pleasing to you. You're not supposed to walk through, you're walking outside and you smell shit in the air, and you're like, well, there's something wrong. There's shit in the air. You don't want that with baseball. You want it to just be air, and you want to be like, oh, that's pleasant. Every now and then, maybe you get a nice smell. You're like, oh, that was wonderful. So that's baseball broadcasting. And he's over here going fag city or fag capital, whatever the fuck he said. And this is during, again, COVID, coronavirus. So now you're in that broadcast truck, and you have to figure out, well, okay, what the fuck do? I don't have another guy that I can throw in the booth right now. We're all socially distant, and I got a doubleheader here. We're in the like fourth inning of a doubleheader. This is insane. So Tom Brenneman finishes the game without acknowledging that he did this, and then in the next game, he makes an apology in the middle of the game and then abruptly leaves. And that must mean that somebody got there in time or what have you. We don't have the apology because it will get flagged and get us taken down, but I have the audio. Where did I put my fucking phone? Oh, it's under my papers. I have the transcript here because it's such a professional apology. And when I say that, I don't mean it was a good apology in terms of him being sorry or genuine or anything of that concern. I mean that this man is unflappable in his ability to call a baseball game. And I'm sure you've heard it by this point. Basically, I'll try and reenact it for you. This is his statement. He comes on. You see his, do they see him on the screen right here? This is his solemn face as he is about to make his apology. He goes, I made a comment earlier tonight that I guess went out over the air that I am deeply ashamed of. I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith, Brenneman said. And then he says, Castellanos launched a 0-1 pitch to left field. Now, this is the way he did it. Like, he says it just like this. He goes, I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. And then there's a deep drive into left field by Castellanos. That'll be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game. Anywho, I don't know. Then he went back to the apology. And they don't tell you how to do this in broadcasting school. And people were shitting on him they were saying that the apology was callous because he called the home run. And I don't think that's true. I think that this man is of broadcasting royalty, baseball broadcasting royalty. And it was instinctual for him to call that home run in that moment. It literally, he probably doesn't even know he did it. They were probably afterwards like, hey man, apology was like, all right, but like calling the Castellanos home run in the middle of it, what are you doing? He's like, I did that? He probably just sees home runs and just goes, 0-2 the count up, there's a line drive. You know what I mean? Like he goes right into it. It's like fucking nature, baby. But I would like to wonder and put these abilities through a true test. You know what I mean? I want this guy to fuck up more and have to apologize on the air so that I can see how unflappable he truly is. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I love it. I love that he goes straight into it, like just right back to business.
0-2 the count. Votto making his way to the plate. It's tough to do this without actual baseball on, to be honest with you. Votto making his way to the plate. I made a statement on the air earlier that I have to apologize for. I'm a man of faith. I don't actually want to punch my wife in her cunt. Votto, 0-2 the count, 2 strikes. Yeah, Jeff Brantley's there. He's like, it's Ask Marty. I wonder if they don't do Ask Marty time. I wonder if they do Ask Tom. It's Ask Tommy time. This is where we ask Tommy all sorts of questions about baseball in and around the game. Tommy, what'd you do last night? That's the question. It's just as simple as that. He's like, well, partner, I murdered a drifter. Moustakis coming to the plate. God, I love fucking baseball so fucking much. It is so fun to watch. The broadcasters and every local, national, I mean, Joe Buck gets a lot of shit, but that's because, people are too busy listening to their local broadcast. I mean, it is so pure. I love it so much. I wish you guys loved baseball in the booth. I wish you loved sports in any capacity. We could mourn, and before we go, we have to mourn Tyrod Taylor. We have to R.I.P. Tyrod Taylor. No, actually, he'll be fine. But it just happened yesterday, and I think this is egregious. And I want to end the show discussing how egregious this is. Tyrod Taylor, quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers, Enny. I think you would get along with this guy great, by the way.
Why would you say that?
I want you to pull up his Instagram page right now and take a look at it. The man is a fashion mogul. I think as soon as his football career is over, he is actually going to be involved in the fashion world. But take a look at Tyrod, and this makes me actually want to do something perhaps on the next episode or maybe an episode beyond that. Once you pull it up here, you're getting a little taste there, aren't you? Yeah, there you go. Look at the drip on this guy is like, I mean, he's a waterfall. Wouldn't you say? I mean, take a look, go down, scroll through. Give yourself a look before you show the people. Right now, he's all chargered up. He's like, go Bolts. He's like, I'm a humble. I'm here for my opportunity. Like that's how he talks. He's just real quiet and drip for days. He's the man. I fucking love Tyrod Taylor, ex-Buffalo Bill. Always gets fucked. He gets the starting gig, and then he gets injured and gets replaced. It's just the way it goes, and he's had it happen on every fucking team, it seems, and it just happened again here on the LA Chargers. Why did it happen? Did he get injured in a game, Josh? Did he get injured in practice? Is Justin Herbert just that much better? No, a fucking team doctor before the game was injecting him with a steroid, punctured his fucking lung. How fucked up, dude? If I'm Tyrod, I'm suing everybody, but I don't know. I don't know how contracts work if because he's getting a doctor who is administered by the team that he's employed to, maybe he can't sue them. But this is the coach came out, Anthony Lynn, head coach, goes, it's not a career-ending injury, but it is going to affect him for the season. And the doctor just made a mistake. And he said, Tyrod's not angry or upset. It happens. And Tyrod, I don't imagine, would be angry or upset. Tyrod is the nicest fucking guy on the planet. And he's real quiet. He's like, doctors just make mistakes. He probably was real nice about it. I would have murdered the doctor in that moment. I mean, it wouldn't even have, no time would have passed between the doctor informing me, hey, BT Dubs just punctured your lung with that injection, and that doctor's neck being twisted around 400 degrees. There would have been about 4 seconds between that. I mean, Jesus, how can you say it's not going to affect his career? It's not career. I understand, like, you could say that under the guise of he'll be able to throw a football again, but he might not have a spot in the league anymore. You're going to put in fucking Justin Herbert now, and he's going to be just fine. And that was your plan anyways. And Tyrod's going to be shit out of luck because of this fucking idiot doctor. So God bless you, Tyrod. I love you. I'm always rooting for you. You know that. And, hit me up sometime. We'll go chill. But this is what I wanted to do before we go out. This is my idea. I want to take 10 NFL quarterbacks and just take pictures of them in their like pregame drip and then have you rank them on their football abilities. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know anything about their football abilities, I assume. But you're going to take a look at their, like, what they walk into the arena wearing, and you tell me which one's the best quarterback.
Okay, yeah.
You think you'd be down for that?
Yeah, I could do that.
All right, I think that'd be a fun idea. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Just spitballing. But I thought, because they always wear something wild, like whether it be a suit. Do you know who Cam Newton is, Enny?
No, never heard of that.
Okay.
Cam Newton.
You need to do Cam Newton post-game fashion, and we'll wrap it up with this. I just want you, this is some of the shit you're going to get to see. And you tell me if you think this is a good or bad quarterback based off of Cam Newton, just, post-game. I mean, you'll see some of the difference. That one, especially on the left there, middle row, that one gets especially noticed by folk. So what would you say? Cam Newton, although he does, you are getting some headlines here, maybe leading you one way or another, but what would you say? Is this one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL or not?
I'm going to probably assume that I could throw a ball further than this one.
You think? Wow. See, I thought you would love Cam Newton.
I mean, I love him. Like, he's dope, but would I imagine that being good in football? I mean,
wow.
I'm not good in football.
No, sure. I see what you're saying. But you're equating the fashion to being bad at football. See, I thought you would be like, this guy's drip so nuts that there's no fucking way this guy would show his face on a football field after dressing that way and not be a baller, right?
Like, he wouldn't have the audacity to wear some shit like that unless he was the man.
Right.
That's true.
Exactly. And that's why I think he does it, because he is in fact the man. I mean, I have to hate him now because he's on the New England Patriots. And when you go to that team, you're a traitor who dies a traitor's death, in my opinion. So he's over and dead to me. But, he was the 2013 MVP, and people are saying he could have a revival year with that. And that's why he can dress like a grandma, folks, okay? Because he can fucking ball. So, yeah, I think that'll be a fun game, and I think that will do it for the Roach Motel. Pleased to be staying in contact with me on Twitter at @J_Potter. My Instagram is @Josh_Potter. And do be letting us know if there's anything you want to see on the show, or if there's an article or a story that you want to see. And you can email that to roachmotel@ymhpodcasts.com. That's roachmotel@ymhpodcasts.com. And, of course, do all the reviews and the stars and all that horse shit that people tell you to do. And we'll see you next week. Thank you, Enny. Thank you, Nadav. Thank you, Zolo. And thank you to Tom and Christina. And have a good day. And that'll do it.